Bashir on the right wing. Oh, he entering him in front. He could find him. Strome's got it in front. He scores! He scores! That's Strome! That's Strome! The Bears have gone back-to-back. They are Calder Cup champions!
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Rink Report here on Monumental Sports Network, coming to you, at least me anyway, on location in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Tarik El-Bashir back in D.C., and a lot of exciting things to talk about on this show. It's been a while since we've done this, and the Hershey Bears team, Calder Cup champions again. The roar has in fact been repeated, and now, after what was a dramatic run through a conference final that saw them nearly blow a 3-0 lead and win a game 7, kind of sounds familiar to the Stanley Cup final, and then beating Coachella Valley again. What a run for this team, and to do it on home ice certainly made it all the better.
And, you know, John, just to be clear here, I was in Hershey last night along with you, but one of us was responsible and went home early.
Oh, was that what it was? Oh, okay. Responsible. You just had your foot to the floor to drive back to D.C. That's fine.
You know, what a sweet night it was in Hershey. And you've been fortunate to be there for a number of these Calder Cup championships. I've been there for a couple of them now. And, you know, you're just so happy for the players. And, you know, afterwards, I went to the suite where many of the parents were. And I was talking to some of the hockey dads that I knew. And, you know, it's funny. One thing we were talking about is, you know, people go, oh, it's the Calder Cup, not the Stanley Cup. It's the minor leagues, not the big leagues. But until you live it, until you've been around this game a long time, you don't realize how hard it is to win a Calder Cup. It is the second best league in the world. And until you've been around the game a long time, or you know someone, you know, who's close to you, and you try to watch them, you know, matriculate through the different levels, you know, be the best player on their AAA team, and then the best player on their junior team, and then play college. I mean, just getting to the AHL, I mean, everyone's dream is to get to the NHL, but I mean, it's so hard. And to see those guys, you know, celebrate a championship in the second best league, it's just so fun. It never gets old. Watching the celebrations, watching the beer flying in the locker room. I mean, you know, congrats to them, and just so happy and proud of them. And you know, another thing, John, is a lot of these guys are going to be Washington Capitals at some point. Every year, several of these guys go from Hershey to Washington.
It's all about player development, and winning is the best part of development. That's what happened again here in Hershey. The series and the travel, and you talk about the differences between the NHL and the AHL. You know, in the NHL, the Stanley Cup final, there were 2 days of travel. It was sane between Edmonton and Florida. There was nothing sane about having to get from Palm Springs, California, back to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and only a day to do it. That was the way it was on the outbound. It was the way it came back here. You go
At
back.
least they had the Patriots plane.
They did, yes. The New England Patriots,
cool.
Lent the plane there, and that certainly was good. But you know what was crazy to me, and I was talking, as you were, with a lot of folks last night, the assistant coaches have a calendar on their wall in the office, and they said, we're going to frame this because you have every other day where they had a game, an off day, a game, an off day, all the way through a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference Final, of which they had to go to Cleveland, come back. It was a 2-3-2, so they only had to travel, but they played every other day. They needed all 7. They had to start the final 48 hours later, and that went every other day with travel to California to and from. They said they've never had a stretch like that ever. It's the hardest stretch to do. They lost 3 defensemen. They're 3 minute eating, arguably their best 3 defensemen. Aaron Ness goes down. Vinny Iorio, after getting hurt in the Rangers series for the Capitals, he isn't able to go. It was insane.
Lucas Johansson was out.
And Lucas Johansson. So you lose all of that, and you look at, okay, Coachella wins big in game 2. They steal a game in Hershey. You're going to California. It doesn't feel good. And then the Bears never lost again. They end up winning 3 straight. And they end up winning the cup. It was a tremendous feat by Todd Nelson, his coaching staff, and these players. To your point, you don't do all of that without a level of dedication of trying to get to the next level. And you said it, a lot of guys who will be there. Ethan Frank almost certainly is going to get a long look in Washington. Hendricks Lapierre, the most valuable player of the entire postseason. And boy, is that good news for Capitals fans that he came down and produced. That to me, T, might be the biggest story out of all of this, is the consistent productivity from Hendricks Lapierre down here. And hopefully we see that in DC down the middle or maybe on the wing